All right, folks, I only bring you the finest content on YouTube. You know, I've seen a lot of Hyundai commercials talking smack. This is what Hyundai has, this is what Tesla doesn't have. Today, we're gonna see what they really both have. This is a 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 6 with the 20-inch wheels and rear wheel drive. So we're gonna dive into all the features, do a full comparison of these two, and hopefully that helps you if you're cross-shopping the two. To start out, here's a few specs that you'll wanna know about the Hyundai. 5-year, 60,000-mile new vehicle warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. In comparison to Tesla, it's a 4-year, 50,000-mile new vehicle warranty and an 8-year, 120,000-mile powertrain warranty. It has a proximity key with push-button start, power folding side mirrors, surround view monitor, blind spot monitor, heated and ventilated front seats, a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster with wireless device charging along with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It also has a Bose premium sound system. Now, starting with the exterior on both of these cars, we're gonna just start with the front. Already on the Hyundai, this right here is like an active aero feature. So these actually open and close depending on if you're looking to get range on the car or if additional cooling is needed. That's why these open up in and out. The Hyundai badge, Hyundai like Sunday, I used to call it Hyundai and I'd get roasted in the comments, but we're doing better now. But anyways, this badge is nice and flush with the front of the car. Looks very nice. You can already see my handprints stuck on the car here. And because of that, I'm gonna be giving these guys as a thank you to Daniel, who helped me out by allocating this car. This is his. I'm gonna send them a little Hydrosilix bundle so they can keep this thing clean because these fingerprints would drive me crazy. Use code Gjeebs April to save 25% or Gjeebs May to save 25% off of their website. Those codes work year round and they have great stuff to help keep your car clean. So with electric vehicles, one thing that Tesla has made very popular is a frunk. So let's see what the frunk is like in the Ioniq 6. So it is big enough to fit a cell phone, which is very nice. Now, if we go over to the Model 3, much bigger storage area. The Model Y is a little bit deeper, but you have a significant area to store things. Now, in reality, I truly don't use my frunk that much. On long road trips, I will store things up here to help reduce clutter on the interior of the car, so it is useful. On a day-to-day basis, you're not using it a ton. But in this area, Model 3 wins with a larger frunk. And a lot of new EV manufacturers have this, is it kind of has the old school look to the under the engine bay. It almost looks like this is an air box for the air intake. It looks kind of like a gas-powered car. So I think as they get better at packaging their technology even smaller, whereas Tesla has had 10 or 12 years to be ahead on this, I think they will get there, but currently just a very small frunk. So the Ioniq 6 has presenting door handles, which are actually nice for a lot of people. Again, they just pop out and you pull and it works very nicely. And also, the doors close like an actual car should. Now onto the Model 3. The Model 3 is always like kind of a mystery. People go, well, how do you do this? You know, so it reduces some confusion by just being able to go like this and open up the door. So while this sits flush, that still sits flush and has a more traditional feature, but just a slight difference between the two. Also on the Ioniq 6, I really like this two-tone that they have here with the silver trim kind of running along the base of the car. And one thing to note is these 20-inch wheels actually reduce the range a lot. Normally you can get a rear-wheel drive Ioniq 6 to get up to about 361 miles of range. These reduce it down into the low 300s, 308, 316, somewhere in that region. Moving on to the back of the Ioniq 6, this is almost like a 911 inspiration fin or spoiler hanging off the back of the car, along with like a ducktail or deck lid spoiler on the lower part. So in pictures, I will say that this thing looks like it sits really high and kind of has some weird proportions to it. But in person, that's not the case. It has a very like flowy sense to it. It also, you can tell that aerodynamics was like of the utmost priority when building this car. It's nice when they're building cars from the ground up as an EV. They always ride a little bit better. They always feel more natural as opposed to some cars you sit up in weird positions. It's because the chassis were built around gas-powered cars and not around batteries. But in person, this is a striking looking car. I have not seen one of these yet on the road, so it's pretty awesome to get one this early. So now that we've kind of covered the exterior of the car, we're gonna jump onto the interior of the car, show you some of those features, and then eventually we'll take it for a drive. So the Ioniq 6 does actually have a start button as well. So I have the key on me, simply press the start button, and you hear that engine roar to life. Now, what really impressed me when I drove the Ioniq 5 previously was it was very good at delivering on range, and also it was a lot quicker than I expected with great ride quality. Also, as you can see here, it does have Apple CarPlay. One thing to note, this is not wireless Apple CarPlay. They did have to buy a little dongle here that makes it wireless, so not a huge deal, but just something to note, which I found was kind of weird. It does have a wireless phone charger here. The center console here, I really like that it has all of this open space down here. Again, not having a transmission, like gear tunnel or anything. It's nice to just have this open space. It's more ergonomic. Center console here. And then you have the clean look here with the buttons controlling all 4 windows from the center console. Unlock, lock, and then auto hold here, so that way when you come to a red light and you let off the brake, the car will hold itself until you accelerate again. Everything that you're going to need to access a lot is right here, and then having this display again with buttons. Yes, Tesla is a software-defined car. That's fine, that's great, but there's a lot of people that want to buy EVs that don't just want to have that screen. So in the more traditional sense, I think this is totally fine. I like that Hyundai has stuck to their design language. They created something themselves that they felt was the best way to go. I also really like it has this little drive mode button here to change which drive mode you're in. So you have eco, normal, and sport mode. When I initially drove an Ioniq 5, I was impressed by the change between each of them. It also changes your displayed range you have on the car based on what mode you're in. So if I'm in eco mode, 230 miles of range, normal, 223 miles of range, and sport, 216 miles of range. There's little details like that that Hyundai does better than Tesla that I really appreciate. It gives me all of the information that I want, whereas I don't have to guess as much. There is a huge amount of space in here. The Bose sound system looks great. It's simplistic while adding features that Tesla lacks that people like. There's also a red light bar along here, and let's check out the back seat. So this is sitting back, I mean, I'm 6 feet tall. I wouldn't sit back this far. Let's jump into the back seat to see what the legroom's like. So onto the back of the Hyundai. Wow. I mean, the front seat is back for someone like probably like you, like 6'3", 6'4" is where someone would sit, and I still have plenty of room. My only minor complaint is that this is in most sedans, there's no room here for my feet to like slide under the seat. But other than that, I mean, I can sit back here. These seats really are, the backs are very comfortable. The bottom is very comfortable. It has 2 USB-C ports for charging here. Nice center armrest that folds up and down. And then you have the Ioniq 6 kick plate here, which is a nice touch to the back of the car. I appreciate when they put detail into the rear of the car. They don't just leave it and say, forget about it. This is a $53,000 car, and I appreciate that. And also, it's funny, it doesn't qualify for the federal incentive because it's made in Korea, which I think, look, if the government wants us to all switch to EVs, why are we saying, oh, it has to be made here, it has to be made there? I get if you want to, you want to help bring business into the United States. I totally get it. But I don't know, I just feel like for the ones that are being created right now, maybe start that next year. It's just kind of silly that some don't qualify. Another unique feature I noticed on the stainless steel pedals was the minus for the brake and the plus on the gas. It's a little detail, but it's pretty cool. So now that we've covered most of the interior, we're gonna take it for a drive, and I'm gonna bring the owner in so he can talk about his decision to buy this, since he does own a Model 3 as well. I think that'll be a great perspective. All right, we are driving the Ioniq 6. Daniel, thank you, I appreciate you letting me drive this. But this is gonna be interesting because he owns a Model 3 as well, has the Ioniq 6. We'll be able to give you a balanced perspective. Already I can tell you it's very quiet in here. This car feels very composed. As far as ride quality goes, we described it best earlier as between a 3 and an S. Yeah. Obviously it doesn't have an air suspension, but it's not as firm or as harsh as a 3. It handles like as a car should. You can feel the weight to it. I don't know exactly what these things weigh. I would assume it's around 4,000 pounds. I guess with it's only rear wheel drive, so it's probably not as heavy, but you can feel it has some weight to it, but the suspension is very well composed. We're currently in eco mode, so if I floor it, it still has a little pop to it, but it's very smooth. It's like it rolls out nicely. Brake feel is nice. Again, to adjust the regenerative braking in these, there is paddles on the back of the wheel where you tap them and it changes the level that you're at. Currently at level 0, so if you hit the one on the left, it builds it up all the way to max. So I pedal, I guess. So I pedal is one pedal driving.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about off camera was the buying experience. You said you got lucky, you went into the dealership, they had one.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yep, worked out. I was able to test drive and get it same day. So it was luck of the time to get it.
Paid MSRP.
Yep, paid MSRP. There was no markup price or anything at the dealer. So very lucky there. And, you know, they only had a few left, and I think they sold them that same day. So.
Wow. You have several EVs, so you're certainly an enthusiast in that sense. So what pulled you to want to get this as opposed to getting another Model 3 or just getting this in general? What made you want to do that?
I think at first it was styling, you know, so the style of the car I think is very attractive, has a very good road appeal, but the overall smooth ride, it's not as jittery, you don't have as much road noise, you know, obviously test driving it, you know, immediately I fell in love with just how it drove. And so that was the biggest pull for me. Obviously the tech in the Model 3 is, I would say superior, you know, obviously Tesla's, you know, years ahead, but this does have like the Apple CarPlay, so you get some of those convenient features. You know, I mean, they've come a long way, I think, and pretty comparable tech-wise, you know, more advanced than they had been in the past.
We're on a rough road, a section of road right now. Like, we're coming up on some just ripped up pavement. I mean, it just eats it up. I mean, it's so well composed, and it has 20-inch wheels. So it's not like we're riding on 18s or something and have that huge advantage. When you put the turn signal on, a little bubble pops up to kind of show your blind spot. That's cool. I'm very impressed with this. I did switch over to normal mode, so we'll do a little acceleration with that. But yeah, you're right. You get the benefits of an EV, but also the benefit of a car that drives so incredibly smooth. If you want to get into an EV and you're like, well, I don't really want a Model 3 for whatever reason, I would certainly consider this. You know, the pricing right now of the Model 3 is, they don't have the long range out right now. So it's not, there's no apples to apples comparison from Tesla right now, which is weird. They either have the $39,000 entry level model or the top end $53,000 or $52,000 performance Model 3. The refresh is coming. Personally, I think that is going to have closer to a 400-mile range. They've redesigned the headlights. There's going to be some interior features that are different. I think it's going to be really big, whatever they do. Right now, there isn't a comparison truly to this from Tesla, which is interesting. But you're right, Apple CarPlay has various features in here that are familiar. The ride quality is great. We'll put it into sport mode. Hopefully you don't get car sick back there. I thought that would be a little bit quicker. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the rear-wheel drive model?
Yeah, if you get the all-wheel model, you'll get a little bit faster acceleration.
Okay.
I think this one will go like 0 to 60 in a little around 5 or 6 seconds.
Okay. Like but again, it is certainly faster than when you put it in eco and normal mode. And it's nice to be able to switch through these, especially on this dial. Yeah. Again, it's like another Porsche feature where, I don't know, it just, they took certain things. I don't know if they meant to take them, but like the spoiler and the drive mode, it's so convenient to tap it right there. So I really enjoy that. Now, what about from an app perspective? Is there an app on your phone? Does it work well?
Yeah, so you have the Hyundai Blue Link, so that you can access your charging features, you can look at the status of the vehicle, you can set climate, start times, remote start. I would say the Tesla probably a little bit further advanced. Overall though, it's almost there.
Okay. Does the job?
Does the job.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, because that's one thing I miss with press cars sometimes is I don't have access, I don't have the app to connect to the car.
Yeah.
So that's good information. Now, what about road trips and things like that? Would you, let's say you're going to San Diego, what would you choose to take the road trip on if it was between this and your Model 3?
I would take this. Okay. It does have map planning, so that's one feature that I think came out with this vehicle. It also has the ability to wirelessly update over the air, similar to a Tesla. But you do have map planning, so you can just put in your destination, and it uses Electrify America charging, so you can see where you need to stop and plan your route. So that's in there as well.
Okay, great. That's awesome. Yeah, the range with my Tesla has been iffy at times. I've always felt with the Hyundai that I previously drove, it was like kind of dead on. I know you haven't had this that long, but it'll be interesting to see over time, you know, how that compares as well.
Yeah.
Overall, this car is, I mean, I've driven an electric Hyundai before, so I knew it would be good. I'm impressed mostly by how it looks in person. The ride quality is excellent, even with 20-inch wheels. It has different drive modes. It has Apple CarPlay. It has a sunroof, all power. You can close it up totally. Again, with the fully panoramic roofs, they look great. But the problem, when you live in somewhere like Arizona, you cook all day, and then the AC is overworking, so it's nice to be able to close that off. I'm really impressed with this car, and Daniel, thank you again. Like, I can't thank you enough for letting me show this on the channel. Guys, to those of you who've reached out and said like, hey, I have this car, if you want to review it, I sincerely appreciate that, because I have no other way. You know, you can only do so many rentals from Hertz, so this is a big help. And then you get the unbiased opinion of someone that owns both of them. I think this would be great. Now, if you want to watch my review on the Ioniq 5 compared to a Tesla Model Y, you can click this video right here. That will be very helpful. I have a whole series on the Ioniq 5 that I did. It should be very helpful if you're cross shopping.